Greetings everyone, my name is Greg. In this video I am going to be talking about unconditional and conditional love. But before I get into that, there were a few other things that were asked by a person in the comment section of my Losing My Faith video that I want to address. The first is this. I guess it's a sin to have my own thoughts, to think for myself. But with free will, I guess there's a price to pay for just using your head. The original sin story, as it is put forward by Christianity, is a paradox. Actually, as it is in Genesis, it's a paradox. Because the God made the knowledge of good and evil forbidden. The thing is, without the knowledge of good and evil, you can't have free will. In effect, the God was making free will forbidden. Now, a case could be made, a strong case can be made, that the one that lied in the Genesis original sin story was the God, because everything the serpent said is proven true in the story. Because the serpent figure had said, "You're not going to die," when the God said, "In the day you eat of this, you will die." So you have the God saying you're going to die. The serpent says you're not going to die. What ends up happening? They didn't die. The second thing the serpent said is your eyes will be opened. Well, later in that same chapter, when they ate of this tree of the knowledge of good and evil, their eyes were opened. They did not die. Their eyes were opened. And then the third statement is also proven true. You will be as gods, knowing good and evil. That is later in the chapter near the end, where the God says, "Look, man has become as one of us. Now lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever." All of this is validating what the serpent character said. And I keep saying the serpent because that's what it was. It was a talking snake. It wasn't Satan. It wasn't Lucifer. It wasn't the devil. It was a snake. If you look up the word in the Hebrew, it means a snake. It does not mean Satan. It does not mean Lucifer. Those ideas are Christian bullshit. It's simply not in the story. It's a talking snake, just like there's a talking donkey later in the Bible. Talking animals. Yeah, go figure. The next thing is about the idea it doesn't take a book for a person to be good. That everybody messes up in life. They ask, from my point of view, if God was real, no book could explain who he was. Well, the first thing I have to say about that, as far as people being good, no, it doesn't require a book or take a book, because if a person is trying to say they get their morals from a book, then they really have no morals at all, because anything that you can try to use a book for, you can cherry pick what is in a book to fit any type of morality you would want to have. You don't need to have, to use the term, a moral center because of this book or that book, because you can take things in any book to support what position you want. It's not about what is coming from some deity. Now, there's also the aspect in there of that no book could contain everything about him. First of all, the idea of a God being a him, it has to be based on like the mindset of what Christians put forward. They put forward this idea of God as a him. Well, upon what evidence do they base this gender idea? Because if a God would exist, why would it be male when everything in nature, the one that is the life giver, is female? you don't see the male being the giver of life. So calling God him doesn't really make sense. It would be more accurate nature-wise to call it her. But that would be something that male-dominated bullshit religions would not like, because they wouldn't want to have a female as the supreme. They would want to have it as the male, because then the males in the society could act like we are superior to females. The thing is, if a God would be behind the universe or whatnot, why would it need or require any gender as we know gender to be, male or female? Why would it have to be either? Why the him or whatnot? Because that simply makes no sense. The next thing is, how did God create himself? Again with the him. And I don't think the person even thought about it as far as the gender implications that they were putting in, because it's so programmed into us that to have the God being a him type of thing. But how could a God create itself? In all actuality, it couldn't. Because the God, when people say about a God they believe in, it actually really boils down to a psychological projection of their own ego. It's a projection of themselves. Because everything they like, the God will like. What they dislike, the God will dislike. And so forth. It's all about themselves. It's not about the God. And you can also extend it even further to being when these people talk about praying for something, their prayers are always centered around their desires, what they want. Be it what they want for their life or with regards to somebody else, but it's always centered around what their wishes are for either themselves or someone else. But it's their wishes. Well, wait a minute, if there is this God thing behind the universe, why would it give a damn what the wishes of an evolved primate are? So what, you wish something? If you're wanting to get this magical being to do what you want, then you're treating it like your own personal Aladdin's lamp. And if such would exist, I would have to say, wouldn't that be more insulting to it than saying, I see no evidence to believe this exists? The one that's saying, I don't see evidence to believe this exists, is not going around, in a sense, insulting any magical beings by saying, I'm going to get them to do my wishes. I'm going to treat them like my genie in a bottle. That it's really all about me, me, me. But these people, the religious, the Christians, they don't want to look at it that way. Because they want their scapegoating, they want their thought crime, they want their think as I say or else, because it's all about them anyway. Then they had asked my thoughts on conditional and unconditional love. The thing is, when it comes to conditional and unconditional love, the moment you put a condition on love, it is conditional. Christians want to try and say that their God loves unconditionally. I would say they need to crack a dictionary and look up the word unconditional. Because unconditional means without condition. If the God's love is unconditional, then you can't say it's unconditional so long as you believe in Jesus. No, that's a condition. And furthermore, there is no mention and no reference in the Torah or Tanakh to anyone having to believe in any prophet or man as far as for any type of forgiveness or whatnot. It simply doesn't work. It's not present in Judaism. So Christians can't try and ride the coattails of Judaism to say that their Jesus is some kind of deity, because that in and of itself is idolatry. You're making a human into a god, which also, when a person looks at the Christian claims, is making Christianity about deicide, the killing of one's deity. The conditional and unconditional, I'll say it again, the moment you put a condition on something, on love, it is conditional. It ceases to be unconditional because of the condition. If you love unconditionally, then you have to love without condition. Otherwise, it's not unconditional. This is simple understanding of what words mean, what the un part means. This is something I would say most Christians don't stop and think about. But I hope this helps. Feel free to leave your comments and thoughts in the comment section. Later, people.